'Cause what I'm trying to do is enthuse you, so that you and I might together strive to change more people's point of view, for those who can't eat as much.
Hey guys, Bobby Hughes here with Heritage Pride Custom Firearms. Got another video for you guys today on food storage, and specifically in this video I want to talk to you guys a little bit about how to calculate your food storage. I know when I first got into food storage and prepping, I just started putting stuff back. You know, I'd find stuff on sale and put stuff back, and that's really the whole meaning behind prepping, is to put stuff back for a so-called rainy day, or to put stuff back so that if it doesn't have to be the end of the world, it could be any type of natural disaster like Hurricane Sandy or Hurricane Katrina or anything like that. But the point is, or the end goal is, to be able to survive without having to beg for help or be stuck, you know, foraging for food, or, you know, whatever. So anyway, I know, like I said, I started just putting stuff back, and I did a little bit of research, but I didn't really do research on food storage. I just started putting stuff back that I thought would be good. For instance, I bought a 25-pound bag of rice back in, I think, June, and I bought the rice knowing that I could use the rice because it's a good filling substance, and I can store a lot of it for a good price on a budget. But I never really knew how many servings do I get out of a 25-pound bag of rice. So what this video is intended to do is kind of give you some basic steps on your food storage, you know, putting your food storage up, and but mainly how to calculate your food storage. And I'm going to be using some help from an outside source. And what I'm going to do is actually show you guys the outside source on the computer, and then I'll leave a link in the description below, giving credit to the person that I'm using. They got some really good ideas on this website to help you calculate your food storage. But what I've done is I've basically, to kind of help you get organized and to help you get on track with a plan, it's easy to get caught up buying 20 jars of peanut butter, but not having anything to use the peanut butter with, or so on or so forth. Or buying a bunch of rice but not knowing how much you have, and so on and so forth. So what I've done is I've made 4 categories of food storage. All right, so you have, what your first category is going to be meal foundation. All right, and it's what you base your meal that you're going to prepare out of food storage on. All right, it's going to be the most filling part, and it's going to be the cheapest, most affordable, easiest to store category. This is going to consist of things like rice and beans, and or pinto beans more so than anything. But pinto beans, rice, oats, bread or flour, your cornmeal, noodles, things like that. Ramen noodles is a good good one for that, for meal foundation. Now, ramen noodles is cheap, it's easy to store away, and it lasts forever. But just ramen noodles alone is not necessarily good for you because it's such a high sodium content. While your body needs sodium, you also need other nutrients that ramen noodles doesn't give you. But because it's so cheap and it's easy to store, ramen noodles could be the basis for the meal that you're going to prepare. So the majority of your fullness, or your filling substance, is going to be the ramen noodles, and then you may throw in something like some proteins, like a can of venison stew meat or something like that. So it's a basis, it's a baseline. Like I said, it's the easiest to prep, it's the easiest to store, and it's the cheapest to buy, and it's a good place to start on that. The second category is proteins. Proteins are going to be your meats that you put away. Now, whether you can your own meats or whether you buy meat already canned, for instance, like pink salmon. Pink salmon's a good protein. It's a good meat. The thing about pink salmon is when you buy it at the store, it's expensive. Okay, tuna is another good one. Corned beef hash, just to give you some ideas of some store-bought canned goods. Right, and as far as canning, you can watch my videos on canning meats. Venison, you know, if you're a hunter, is a good protein to store, as well as you guys have probably seen my video on canning bacon. Bacon is a very easy one to can, and it lasts for a long time, and that's a comfort food. People love bacon, so that's a great thing to have for a protein. Also, chicken breast, boneless, skinless chicken breast, you can can that up. I've got some pork tenderloin down here, works really good to can. So those are going to be your proteins. That is going to be, the meats and the proteins, those are going to be your second most important prep, but it's also going to be your most expensive prep, all right, because it takes so much of it, and we all know meats are more expensive than beans and rice. So it's probably your second most important, but your most expensive. All right, the third category out of the four is vegetables. All right, so, and once it's the same concept as the proteins. Your vegetables you can buy in store-bought cans. This some asparagus, mixed vegetables, and a lot of times, you know, buying stuff on sale is cheaper than canning your own. Personally, I can vegetables because I know what grew those vegetables. I know that there's no pesticides or anything like that. Canned vegetables from a store, you don't always know. All right, so do your research on that kind of stuff. But you can do canned vegetables from a store, or if you have the luxury of canning your own vegetables, you can can your own. This is butternut squash. I've got potatoes down here, canned potatoes, just different things, you know, beets, homemade relish, things like that. Those are all vegetables. Corn, just all, you know, all kinds of stuff. But any vegetable you can store like that. But like I said, vegetable is the third one in the category, and that would be an additive to your meal. All right, so you use your meal foundation, and in a worst case scenario with nothing else, you can survive off of your meal foundation category. Second would be your proteins, and then that would add to your nutritional value in your preps. And then vegetables are an add-on to the meal foundation as well. Vegetables are obviously healthy for you, and it just breaks up the monotony. It breaks up the same stuff. You don't want to eat rice every day, but you may eat rice with green beans, or rice with some relish on it, or rice with some sauerkraut. Who knows, that might be disgusting, but it may break up that monotony. All right. And the fourth and final stage or category of food preps would be what I just call extras. Extras can consist of peanut butter and a lot of your comfort foods. Peanut butter, spaghetti sauce, things that aren't necessarily necessary, but it gives you more options to what to do with your meal foundation stuff. So if you have noodles stored, spaghetti noodles, or you know, pasta noodles or whatever, you could use that with some spaghetti sauce, or you could use that with some ground venison, and you could take a quart of canned tomatoes and puree it and make your own spaghetti sauce. So the extras are simply an add-on to that. Now, extras is kind of actually two categories. Extras is going to be your extras like to add on to a meal, but extras are also going to be your supplements to those meals, whether it be salt, or whether it be sugar, or other spices, pepper, paprika, baking soda, baking powder, vinegar, all the things that may be extras in either one, preparing the food, or in two, preserving the food. We all know that salt is a preservative, so you can use that in preserving canning and things like that. Sugar is also used in making brines. Sugar and vinegar is used to make brines for pickles and other vegetables to store them. So it's important to have these extras, But out of everything, they're really the least important in the actual food storing process. Those should be things that maybe you take a step back and you say, okay, my goal is to get 50 pounds of meal foundation, whether it be rice or beans or a combination or oats or whatever. It's my goal to get 15 pounds of proteins, and then for every 50 pounds of meal foundation and 15 pounds of protein, I'm going to get 5 vegetables and 2 or 3 or 5 extras. All right, and so that way you keep it a little bit more consistent. And then you also have plenty of meal foundation to start your prep. So that's a good way to get established and to start going. All right. So now that we've gone over the 4 categories of food storage, let's talk about steps in creating or calculating how much food you really have. I know for me it was very not intimidating, but it was frustrating to come up and try to count everything and figure out by trying to look at it how much food I really had, how long it would last, and things like that. So after you've established your 4 categories and you've established or you understand the 4 categories, then it's time to start calculating and planning on building up your food storage. The first step in planning or calculating your food storage is create a generic menu for 7 days. All right, and with this generic menu, it's going to be 7 days of different menus, and it doesn't have to be, like 5-star dining. It's just 7 days of a simple breakfast, a simple lunch, and a simple dinner. 3 meals a day, and you do that. And when you build your 7-day menu, you may think, well, I know usually when I make a pot of soup, beans, and cornbread, I usually have beans left over. So what you may do is save those the night that you make pinto beans for dinner. You may choose to have those as part of a breakfast dish the next morning, or to have for lunch the next day. So by doing that, what you do is you divide it up and you have a 7-day rotation. That way you're not eating the same thing every day. You have an idea of what you're going to be using, but you try to develop that menu around the basic food prepping things such as rice and beans and vegetables and things like that. But the idea is have a 7-day menu and repeat that every 7 days. So that way you don't have to change. That it makes it easier for planning. You can always change it up as you go, but your end goal is to keep it simple. All right. So after you have created your generic menu, then you want to think about how many people are you going to be feeding. For us, it's just me and my wife. So that's easy. I'm prepping for to feed 2 people to start with. That's my initial goal, is to prep enough for 2 people. And then a second part to that is, how long do you want to store for? I suggest if you're just getting into it, that you start with 3 months and then go to 6 months and so on. Do it in 3-month increments. If you've been storing for a little while and you're just watching this to figure out how to calculate, then you may take what you have, figure up using a calculation formula how much you have, and then determine what your next goal is. You may already have enough for a whole year, and so your next goal would be obviously 15 months. So you want to determine how many people you have and how long you're storing, or how long you're planning to store for, how much food you need to store for. Once you get that, then step 3 is kind of a second part to step 2. Plan on additions to the family. Right now, I don't know if I've put this out on YouTube yet, but me and my wife are expecting our first baby, and so for me, when I'm planning, I have to plan on a little one, feeding a kid. So I know right now I don't need the food, but in the future I will need the food. The baby's going to come regardless of if we have a worst case scenario or not. So I need to have preps in place for the baby. And when it comes to food, you start thinking about making your own baby food. Green beans, for instance. I can take a quart of green beans, put it in a blender, blend it up, and I've got baby food. So you can do that with a lot of vegetables and things like that. So you always have to keep in mind what may come down the road. Maybe your mom and dad aren't well enough off to take care of themselves in a worst case scenario, and you need to plan on taking care of them as well, or brother and sister, or whoever it might be. So that's step 3. Step 4 is determine your serving sizes. Now, while I know that I have 25 pounds of white rice back here, I didn't know how much white rice, how many servings I could get out of 25 pounds. So what I did was I calculated, and 1 serving of cooked white rice is 3 cups. And 3 cups, to be honest with you, if I'm adding stuff to it, is going to be enough for probably me and my wife. So, but to get 3 cups of cooked rice, you need to start with 1 cup of raw rice. 1 cup of raw rice weighs about 7 ounces. So once you do, you can do the math. I don't have it memorized in my head, but now I know that I need to divide 7 ounces amongst 25 or 30 pounds or however much I have to determine how many servings of rice that I have. All right, so you need to determine how many servings or what your serving sizes are, and then how many. Then the final step, which is I kind of already went into it. Step 5 is calculating the serving. All right, or how many servings you have on hand. So, like I just said, for rice with 30 pounds, I think it's 68 servings of white rice that I have in 30 pounds. So your end goal is to determine how many servings you have, and then you go back to that menu that you developed in part 1, and you can say, okay, well, I've got 68 servings of rice on hand. I plan on having rice as my meal foundation for 3 days a week, 3 days out of that 7-day period. I know there's 2 of us that are going to be eating it, so I need to calculate 2 servings for 3 days. That's 6 servings. So I need to use 6 servings of rice per week. And so then I would divide out 68 servings divided by 6, and that would give me how many weeks of white rice I have in storage. All right? And that's based on my menu. Now, if I ate rice every day, obviously it would be different, but for that menu purpose, or using the menu, I know that I have that much rice. And then, like I said, that's going to be how you calculate most of your bulk food, most of your dry food, or your meal foundation food. All right? And that is your main priority. Like I said, especially starting off, that needs to be your main priority. So that's pretty much just my kind of ideas for you on how to get started in your preparing and storing your food. Now I'll take you downstairs on the computer, and I'll show you the website I was talking about and a calculation spreadsheet that'll make life so much easier when you're calculating your food storage. Alright guys, so this is the resource that I was telling you guys that is really neat. It's called Food Storage Made Easy, and it's foodstoragemade.easy.net. It's a really neat website. It's got tons of just awesome information on it. Lots of good stuff like emergency preps, powerless cooking ideas, 10 baby steps, and it starts you out from start to finish on all of food storage. The shelves, first water, 3-month supply, long term, and then it talks about all the different things like comfort foods and stuff. It's a really informational and educational website to use. I just found it recently, and I love this website. So it's got a lot of good information on it. I'll put that link in the description below. One of the cool things about this website is they have created an Excel spreadsheet that, let me pull it up here, that calculates your food storage. Alright, so this is the spreadsheet, and it's really neat. It auto-fills a lot of things. And right up here in the top left-hand corner, it allows you to put in how many adults you're planning or preparing for, how many children are in the age of 7, and how many months of desired storage you want. And then it breaks it down into grains, fats and oils, legumes, sugars, milk, cooking essentials, and so on and so forth. And it kind of gives you an average standard per adult per year number here. Now, if you know that you eat more than 150 pounds of wheat in a year, then you can change it and it'll automatically recalculate it for you. And it's really cool because it shows you can put in here how much you have stored and how much, and then it'll subtract it out and tell you how much you need to purchase still. And you can add to it and take away. You can add categories. I haven't started filling this out for us yet because I just found it. But what I'm going to do is actually add in a couple of new categories of other things, other items that I prepare with, and things like that. So it's a really, really cool website, and it's a really cool spreadsheet. And on the website, she actually has a demonstration on how to use the spreadsheet. It's a tutorial on how to use it. It's like a 6 or 7 minute video. It's very thorough. It tells what everything does and how to change it, how to add to, and how to take away, and all that good stuff. Alright guys, so that's it for this this video. Like I said, I just wanted to give you some ideas on how to calculate your food storage and some ideas on how to organize and how to itemize your food storage, and to kind of get on track with, you know, different ways. This video kind of goes in conjunction with my prepping with a plan video, and I'm actually going to put a link for that down below, as well as a link to the download for my outline on prepping with a plan that goes over all the different aspects of prepping, not just food storage, but water, sustainable fuels, and cooking, security, communication, all that stuff. It's really, I think it's really good information. I spent quite a bit of time doing the research and trying to put together from a tactical perspective and also a husbandly perspective of what my wife would want in a worst case scenario situation. So I'll put the links for that stuff in the description below also, so you can check all that out as well. I hope you guys have got some good information and ideas out of this video. If you have any questions or comments, or maybe something that I forgot or something like that, something to add to it, you know, that's the cool thing about YouTube, is the people read the comments. It almost becomes like a forum. And so if you want to add your 2 cents in, feel free to leave a comment, and otherwise, you know, leave any ideas that you might have for me. Anyway guys, until next time, get out there, shoot some guns, be safe, most importantly, have fun. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to rate and subscribe. See you guys later.